Hey everyone, welcome back to another Post Status Live. I've got another in the series from Nellie, who is the CEO, co-founder of CorpNet, a company that I have used to incorporate some of my businesses, and we'll be doing that from here on out. Incredible service. She'll talk about some of that at the very end. I've asked her to mention along the way for sure what CorpNet does in the world. But today's topic is going to be business names, DBAs, and trademarks. This is something, Nellie, our community of WordPress entrepreneurs and open web entrepreneurs and founders talk about and deal with quite a bit. I mean, I've run into all three of these. I've had a business name conflict. I've had to think about DBAs and trademarks. Don't get me started there. So I'm eager to listen in as you take over and share your expertise about these kinds of critical topics for entrepreneurs. But thank you again for being here today on Post Status and sharing your wisdom. Again, let me give a disclaimer before I turn this over to Nellie and let her talk, is she is not your attorney. She is sharing her experiences and some tips, but you should always seek legal counsel if you need to do so and talk about these. But I know at some point Nellie's going to be talking about some of the services that CorpNet offers, her awesome team over there. So Nellie, thank you again for being here today, and I'll let you take it over.
Thank you, Corey. Hello, everyone. My name is Nellie Akalp, CorpNet CEO and co-founder. A little bit about myself. I'm an entrepreneur, business expert, professional speaker, and published author. And I'm also a wife and a business partner with my amazing husband, who we've been married to for over 24 years, and we have 4 amazing kids together. I've dedicated the majority of my entrepreneurial journey to helping entrepreneurs and business professionals succeed at business ownership and educating business owners and entrepreneurs on everything they need to know about how to start a business, how to protect their assets. And it all starts with our presentation today, which is on business names, DBAs, and trademarks. And the reason for that is because literally when anybody wants to start a business, the most exciting part of the business startup journey is finding that perfect name for the business, and how do I get it registered, how do I get it protected, and how do I prevent other people from using it or diluting my business name. As CEO and founder of CorpNet, I have literally helped more than 500,000 plus small business owners and licensed professionals get their businesses off the ground. And as a result, I've created a really strong following. You can view me on the web literally at practically every publication out there is, from Forbes to Inc. to Entrepreneur to All Business to Small Business Trends. And then I also write on a lot of niche type outlets, because I do also assist in helping professionals build their businesses. So of course, I'm on Accounting Today, Accounting Web, and many of the other types of publications that are more specific to a certain niche market. With that said, our goal today is talking about how to protect your business name, how to pick that business name, how to protect it, and how to take the next steps of protecting it from other people and preventing other people from using that name. So one of the first decisions new entrepreneurs make is the name of their business, as I mentioned to you. And you'll need to protect that business name so others don't use it. And in this presentation, my goal is for us to review your options to protect that name, whether it's creating a fictitious business name or applying for a trademark. So we're going to be reviewing the difference between a business name, a fictitious business name, also referred to as a DBA or a doing business as, and a trademark. We're going to talk to you and provide you with examples in the WordPress ecosystem. And I'm going to cover protections offered from registering a business name, steps needed to register a business name, steps steps to register a doing business as, filing, or fictitious business name, how to secure a trademark with the USPTO, and how to establish common law rights within that mark that you're trying to protect. So let's get into it. Let's talk about a business name versus a DBA versus a trademark. So what are the differences? Well, a business name is just that. It's the name of a company calls itself and by which the public recognizes it. A DBA, also referred to as a doing business as, is a name that is different from the legal name of that company. It can be the same, but it also can be different. So a doing business as is also referred to as the trade name, assumed business name, or fictitious business name. So let's say, I, Nellie Akalp, want to do business under a fictitious business name, but I don't want to set up a corporation or an LLC for my business. I go down to the county recorder's office in LA County, and let's say I want to do business as Nana Lucci, which is a previous name of one of my clothing lines. So I'll go and file a doing business as filing stating that I, Nellie Akalp, want to do business under a fictitious business name as Nana Lucci. This way, that fictitious business name will allow me to receive funds from whoever purchases anything made payable to Nana Lucci. A trademark is different. A trademark, as defined by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, also referred to as the USPTO, is a word, phrase, symbol, and/or design that identifies and distinguishes the source of goods or services of one party from those of the others. So it's a little bit more in depth as to what trademark protection is, and we're going to go ahead and cover it. And hopefully by the end of this webinar presentation, you'll get a better sense of what all of these different terms mean. So let's give you a few examples in the WordPress ecosystem of the differences of what is trademark. Okay, so let's take the name WordPress. Okay, so the name WordPress, as you can see, has a TM sign next to it. And that TM sign means that WordPress is either an official trademark and has obtained an official trademark registration with the US Patent and Trademark Office, or is in the process of getting their name trademark and registered with the US Patent and Trademark Office. The owner of WordPress is WordPress Foundation, Inc. And the type of name that they're trying to protect is actually a trade name registered in the state of California, and the owner's location is also in the state of California. Now, let's take another example, Beaver Builder. Beaver Builder, as you can see, it has, I love that name and also the logo with it. So again, it has a trademark next to the name. The owner is Fast Lane Media LLC. And again, they're trying to protect the name Beaver Builder. Again, it's registered in the state of California. Yoast. Yoast has two trade names. They wanted to trademark Yoast itself and then also Yoast Academy. And the owner is Yoast BV. And what they're trying to trademark and protect here are the two names, Yoast and Yoast Academy. And both of them are registered in the Netherlands. Then you have WP Beginner, which is, again, they wanted to Boy Genius Inventions LLC, which is the owner of WP Beginner, wants to protect the name. So they've registered and requested a trade name protection. And the company is registered in Delaware and the owner is located in Florida. So as you can see, these are all different examples of ways people will want to protect their mark. And what does trademark protection offer you? It basically offers you protection in all 50 states, and it prevents another company from coming and using the same name under the same classification of goods and services as you who's trying to, protect your name. So for example, Access Ally, the owner is Natalie Lucier Media Inc. And this name, they've registered a trade name on it, and also they have a doing business as on it as well. But basically, what I want to make sure I hit home here is that trademark protection is when you're trying to prevent somebody else from using your name and diluting your name. And let's say you're providing your goods and services for consulting services, and somebody else wants to come and use that exact name, but they want to use it in the car business. In that sense, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office may provide both of you permission. However, if that other person wanted to use the same exact name under the same exact list of goods and services that you're trying to protect that name, then the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office will likely reject the person who came second to apply for protection. And at the end of the day, why we want to protect that business name is because we want to prevent people from, getting confused as to whether they're really wanting to use us or the other service provider. So for example, our company, CorpNet, we have a registered trademark on our company. And the reason why is because there's hundreds of thousands of other legal document filing services offering the same exact types of goods and services as us. So we want to protect our name and prevent anybody else, any of our competitors, by using the name CorpNet or anything very close to CorpNet as a trade name, because we don't want there to be confusion in interstate commerce when they come to use our services. So trademark protection, basically, in a nutshell, protects you and your business, protects the name of your business, and it prevents others from using it if they're going to be using that name in the same exact categories of goods and services as you do. And with trademark protection, as long as it's filed properly, and as long as you're providing your goods and services in more than one state, you can actually apply for federal trademark protection, which will grant you protection in all 50 states. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on the different examples, but I wanted to go through and kind of give you an idea of what trademark protection is. So we're going to go back now and we're going to talk about business name protection. And the business name basics are pretty simple. When we think about starting a new business, we think about what's that perfect ideal name that's going to identify our business and identify the goods and services that we're selling. So oftentimes the name is super important. Now, when you've picked that name, the next step is to pick what type of entity you want to choose for your business. Do you want to just start doing business as a sole proprietorship or a partnership, or do you want to take it a notch higher and actually, conduct your business as a corporation or an LLC? Well, either way, you're going to have to check that name for availability to make sure that name is available for use in your state or in the state you're planning on conducting your business. And as a result, you have to conduct what is called a name search. That name search can be done by reputable companies such as our company, CorpNet, that can check the name for availability in any state that you're planning to conduct business. You simply come to our site. It's a free service. You put in your name, you give us your email address, we'll check the name for availability, and then we'll give you the results within 24 to 48 hours. Now, basically, that free name search that we conduct, it conducts the search within the state that you're planning on conducting your business. Now, if you wanted to see if that name is available in all 50 states, you would want to take it a notch higher and do a knockout search with the United States Patent and Trademark Office to see if that name is available for you to potentially use in all 50 states, and if anybody else has any type of potential rights to that name. Now, one of the questions that I often get, especially from my clients who want to form a corporation or an LLC, they'll say, well, if I'm trying to form a corporation or an LLC, and if, the name is available in the state that I'm planning to form the corporation or an LLC, what if that name is taken in another state as a corporation or an LLC? And the answer to that question is that when you're forming a corporation or an LLC, it's state by state. So just because you're trying to form a corporation or LLC in your state and the name is available, doesn't mean that another state cannot use that name, or it doesn't prevent another person from using that same exact name in another state and incorporate that name under the same exact name. So for instance, one state may deem it perfectly fine for, someone to, have Linda Spa and LLC salon, not only in the state of Ohio, but also in the state of Wisconsin. Now, let's talk about another thing that comes up as well, is that, the states have specific rules, and state rules will vary from one state and another. So one state's rules may be super, super lax, where another state's rules may be super, super, conservative. So let's take this example. So for instance, one state may deem it perfectly fine to register Linda Spa and Salon LLC when there's an existing business registered as Linda Spa and Salon LLC. And if you can see, it's just a variation of how the name Linda has been spelled. Whereas another state might consider the name Linda Spa and Salon LLC deceptively similar to the other version of Linda Spa and Salon LLC with a different, different spelling of Linda, the word Linda. So each state varies as far as their rules and what they consider appropriate business name, and what they're going to accept as a acceptable business name. And so you definitely want to check your state's rules and requirements when it comes to getting that business name registered and protecting it. Now, when you're also trying to pick a business name, there's also a lot of limitations that go along with it. So registering a business only prevents, another LLC or corporation from using that business name in that same state. As I mentioned to you, just because you register your business name as a corporation or an LLC in your state doesn't prevent from another state from using that similar exact name. Now, however, there's a difference. If you're a sole proprietorship or a partnership in that state, you can still use your name if you desire, because typically as a sole prop or partnership, there are no limitations as to what name you can use. It wouldn't, they just wouldn't be able to form a corporation or an LLC if that name happens to be in existence as a corporation or an LLC by another business. So again, at the end of the day, you have to, number one, check that name to make sure it's available in your state for use. And then as a, prudent business owner, my suggestion is that you always, make sure you take the necessary steps and be cautious and do a trademark search, because with any business, your goal is to expand that business and hopefully become a, multi-state conglomerate for whatever it is that you're doing, so that, you can do business in multiple states. With that stated, the next question becomes, okay, I've got my name and I want to register that business name. How do I do it? So there are different steps to registering a business name. Again, you want to understand your state's restrictions for selecting your business name. You want to brainstorm possible business names, perhaps even talk to your colleagues, your friends, and see, how it attracts them as far as, the business name that you've chosen. And then once you've chosen it and you've checked it for availability and it's available for use, you want to choose the business structure as to how do you want to conduct your business? Do you want to conduct your business as a sole proprietorship or partnership, or do you want to take the next level and from the get-go separate yourself as a business owner from the business itself and have some personal liability protection and asset protection? So choosing the business structure is super important at this point. Once you've chosen it, you want to pick the state that you want to register the business in, draft the formation documents, submit that paperwork to the Secretary of State's office, get the filing, and then apply for your employer identification number. Once you've obtained that, open up the business account, and then start conducting your business under the particular business structure that you've chosen for your business. Now, there are things that you want to know before registering your business. So every state, as I've mentioned to you, has its own set of rules regarding what is and what is not allowed in business names. Most states will typically not allow a business name to include names such as bank or trust or insurance. Typically, most states have very strong requirements and rules against that. However, for example, if you are planning on getting your business set up as a corporation or an LLC, the state will require you to include a business identifier next to the name of the business to identify that business as a corporation or an LLC, if in fact you're going to be, conducting your business as a corporation or LLC. So a business that's incorporated, or filed as an LLC must include the name corporation, incorporated, or LLC as part of its name when they're planning on conducting their business as a corporation or LLC. Also, here's another thing that you may want to know about is that using a name that implies it is a governmental unit, such as a village, city, or borough, is not allowed when it's really not. And using a word that implies, you're a government, that the company is a government entity, for example, is not allowed. So you definitely, I've listed some of the items here that the states will look in approving that business name. And obviously this set of PowerPoint presentation slides will be available to you for download. Now, here's some tips to help ensure you don't break the rules, when it comes to protecting that business name, picking that business name, and making sure the Secretary of State's office or the state governmental body that you're planning on filing your, formation documents gives you the go-ahead to start using that business name. So checking with the Secretary of State's office about the rules and restrictions for the business name is the first place you want to check. Conducting a corporate name search, as I mentioned to you, again, you can come and check that name for availability with a reputable company like ours that can give you, the yay or nay as it comes to the availability of using that name for your business. And then if you want to take it a step higher, you can conduct the trademark search, free trademark search. We offer that service as well. And then if the free trademark search comes back whereby, hey, you know what, it's likely that someone may have some rights to it, then you want to take it a step higher and pay for a comprehensive nationwide trademark search to really make sure you got your T's crossed and your I's dotted before you invest in really putting more money up for that particular business name. So once you've done that, you've got the green light regarding the business name, you want to choose the business structure. Now, we've done a 1-hour webinar on this exact topic, which is available through Corey's website. However, I'm going to give you a brief refresher course here. So choosing the business structure for the business really is important because it really does kind of set the tone as to how business owners will likely want to do business with you, how they view you in the eyes of the public eye, and how they view you as to whether you're an established business or not. So some of the factors that will influence which type of entity you want to select include where you plan on conducting your business, how much you want to limit your personal liability when it comes to the business, whether you will have a partner or an investor, your expected earnings and deductions, your desire to minimize your self-employment taxes, your business goals, and also your tolerance for paperwork and compliance formalities. And last but not least, the registration and the costs to, for example, set up a corporation or an LLC, and the yearly costs that are, associated with forming that entity and also maintaining that corporation or an LLC in compliance throughout the lifetime of the business. So with that stated, I've briefly given you a rundown of each of the different business formation options that are available to a small business owner. As you can see, with a sole proprietorship, is its simplest form of entity. It offers little liability protection, funding options, and opportunities for growth. Very simple to form. And with a sole proprietorship, you can basically set up shop and start doing business either under your own name or go down to the county recorder's office and file a doing business as filing and start doing business as a sole proprietorship. But again, there is really no business name protection other than common law protection for your business name. So if you really wanted to protect that name, you would have to apply for federal trademark protection of that name. Similarly, with a general partnership, it's unlike a sole proprietorship, it's two or more people doing business together. And again, very limited liability, very limited protection of your personal assets. And again, no business name protection other than common law rights to that name. And then we get into corporations and LLCs where, these are now separate legal entities from the actual business itself. It's getting hot here. So with a corporation, S corporation, or an LLC, these are actual, separate legal entities from the business owner itself. So there is some business name protection because you're actually filing these documents with the Secretary of State's office, whereby the Secretary of State will have some say as to, whether they're going to, first of all, approve that business name and also prevent somebody else from choosing that business name in the same state that you're planning to conduct that business as a corporation or an LLC. But at the end of the day, again, these are common law rights of protection. And if you really wanted to prevent somebody else from using your business name, you definitely want to look into trademark protection of that name. So as far as the different formation options and which one is right for you, again, we've done a full webinar on this in the past. You can go ahead and download that. And if you still have questions on that, we have a great business structure wizard on our website that will allow you to come here, answer a few questions, and it will take you through a wizard, and it will choose a business entity that is right for your business and your, current tax situation. So with that, the next step becomes, where do I register my business? And this is the state you want to choose to conduct your business in. Generally speaking, rule of thumb is you want to set up the business where you're located, where your employees are located, where your shareholders are located, and where you're actually conducting business, your physical location of your business. There's a lot of hype about Delaware, Nevada versus your home state. And the general rule of thumb is, if you have less than 10 employees, it's always best to set up your corporation or LLC or your business in the state that you're actually planning on residing and conducting your business in. Otherwise, you're going to subject yourself and the business to two sets of state laws and taxes. Because if you decide to set up the business in a state other than your home state, your home state's laws and tax laws will still apply. Once you've decided the name, the type of business structure and where you want to set up the business. Then you want to draft your formation documents to actually set up that business within that state. In the case of a corporation or an LLC, with a corporation, you would draft articles of incorporation and file it with the Secretary of State's office. In the case of an LLC, you would draft what are called articles of organization and set those up with the Secretary of State to form the LLC. And in the instance that you don't want to set up a corporation or an LLC and you simply want to conduct your business as a sole proprietor or partnership, you simply would file what is called a fictitious business name filing or doing business as, and you would file that with your county recorder's office in the city within the state that you're planning on conducting your business in. Now, some states, and I'm talking very, very few states, will have you set that DBA or fictitious business name up at the state level because it's not county based. I know, for example, Ohio is one, and I believe Florida is another one. But the majority of states, if you're planning on conducting your business as a corporation or an LLC, it's normally filed at the county level. Now, once you have, submitted your formation documents to the state and you've received a successful filing date and a successful filing from the state, the next step is to obtain and apply for an employer identification number, which is also referred to as a tax ID number or an EIN number. And what is the reason for this? Well, having an employer identification number helps separate you from the business and the transactions of the business. And it also allows the IRS to identify the business transactions for the business. So getting a tax ID number, also referred to as an EIN, is optional if you're a sole proprietorship. But if your business acts as a corporation or an LLC or a partnership, you are required by law to have one. And you can simply apply online to obtain a tax ID number through the IRS website, or you can have a third party, such as our company, CorpNet, to obtain one on your behalf and do the work for you. Now, the question becomes, if I want to get an EIN number, what do I need to apply for one? So to file for an EIN, you'll simply need to provide basic business information, such as the legal name of the business address, the responsible party for the business, and general statement that describes the business's activities. And typically, the IRS will ask for a social security number for the person that is one of the business owners for the business. Now, if that business owner happens to not have a social security number, a passport will suffice, and you can obtain a tax ID number using the passport as identification. Now, let's talk about DBAs, okay? We've briefly talked about trademark protection. We've talked about how to protect that business name, how to choose that business name. And let's briefly talk about a DBA. A DBA is an abbreviation for doing business as. A DBA is also known as a fictitious business name, assumed business name, or trade name. And a doing business as is basically different from the legal name of the company or from the legal name of the individual. In the instance where the individual is wanting to conduct their business as a sole proprietor and doesn't want to conduct business under their legal name. So it is the name the business wants to use when marketing itself to the public and dealing with customers. So in essence, a doing business as, or a DBA, lets the public know the true owner of a business. The DBA was created as a form of consumer protection to prevent unscrupulous business owners from operating under a different name to avoid legal trouble. So in the case of an LLC or a corporation, filing a DBA enables the company to operate multiple businesses without having to create separate legal entities for each one. So let's say, for example, CorpNet is a corporation and we want to conduct business under, we want to offer a different service, and instead of having CorpNet go and file a separate corporation or LLC for that other service, we can have CorpNet file a DBA doing business and providing other services. So that's one way of, having your corporation or LLC conduct business under a different name while still having that name falling under the corporation umbrella of the corporation or LLC. I'll give you another example. Let's say, for example, let's take the example we used earlier, WordPress, okay? So WordPress is the name they want to use in public, as the trade name, but the legal name of the company is WordPress Foundation Inc. But they really don't want to, on all their documents, use WordPress Foundation Inc. So what happens is WordPress Foundation Inc., which is the legal name of that corporation, will file a trade name, an assumed business name, also referred to as the doing business as name, doing business as WordPress. This way, WordPress still falls under the umbrella of the corporation, and that corporation can now conduct business simply under the word WordPress. Now, I've given some examples here of a DBA. So let's imagine, here's another example. Let's imagine a business owner has formed an LLC for her website development shop called Digital Hero LLC. This same business owner then wants to set up an online store under a different name. The LLC would file a DBA for something like 365 Website Care. So as you can see, Digital Hero is the name of the LLC, but Digital Hero now wants to do business under 365 Website Care as their assumed business name. And in having the LLC file the assumed business name, that assumed business name still falls under the umbrella of the LLC, having that protection under the umbrella of the LLC. And also the LLC doesn't have to go file another LLC as 365 Website Care. So this would enable the business owner, Liz, to market and manage each business line separately, each accepting payments and writing checks, but yet everything is under the umbrella of the LLC. So I've listed out all the advantages of a DBA, which we've talked about in depth here. Again, it helps keep businesses in good standing with the state. It costs less. There are fewer compliance formalities. Only one employer identification number is required. It satisfies bank requirements for opening bank accounts and under the business name. And DBAs receive the same liability protection, when they're filed under the umbrella of a corporation or LLC as the original corporation or LLC. So really, really, really important and also cost effective, especially for corporations and LLCs if you're planning on, conducting your business under several different business names. Now, the question becomes, do I need a DBA for my business? And again, as a sole proprietor, if you're operating your business as a sole proprietor, you'll need to file a DBA for the business if your business has a different name than your own name. So again, John Doe is, that individual's name. John Doe wants to do business under John Doe Consulting Services or JD Consulting Services. If he wants to accept payments under those names, then John Doe has to file a fictitious business name filing with their state or their county recorder's office to be able to conduct business under those variations of names as a sole proprietorship, or even if it's two or more people. So let's say, me and a friend have started a gardening business, and it's me and my friend Allison, and we're in a partnership and we want to do gardening for other homes. So if Allison and I are forming a partnership and we want to do business under Spring Flowers Gardening, then Allison and I have to go file a DBA under Spring Flowers Gardening. Now, there's a difference here if you're a corporation or an LLC. So if you file to become a corporation or an LLC, then you've already registered your business name and you don't need a DBA. However, there is an exception. So if you have filed a corporation or an LLC, but you do not want to use that exact same name with the corporation identifier or the LLC or the Inc. at the end of it, then you have to have the corporation or LLC file what is called a DBA if you plan on conducting a business name other than the legal name of that corporation or LLC. So there are different state and county nuances when it comes to filing a DBA. Specific requirements for filing a DBA, again, vary from state to state and sometimes from county to county. In some states, you register your DBA with the Secretary of State's office as opposed. In other states, you would file it in the county recorder's office. So definitely you want to check with your state's requirements as to at what level you would form and file a DBA. But, I've summarized it here for you guys. The following states, such as Arkansas, California, have county level filings, whereas other states have state level filings, and there are a majority of states that don't even require, a DBA filing. The state doesn't even require that filing. So check with your state and see what your state's requirements are. There's also a timing issue with DBAs. Typically, DBAs take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. And then once they're filed, sometimes a state will require you to file what is called a notice of publication, giving notice to the general public that you're planning on starting to use that name in commerce. And then there's also restrictions in forming a DBA. So if you're simply trying to register a fictitious business name that's not a corporation or an LLC, for example, you can't put the LLC or INC or corporation identifier next to the name. So check those restrictions as well. Now, I want to dive deep a little bit more into trademark protection. Now that I've kind of given you kind of a brief example of each, and so I want to kind of really get into trademarks. So what is really federal trademark protection? The United States Patent and Trademark Office grants trademarks, which identifies the source of products and services that are offered by a company. A trademark can be a word, it could be a phrase, it could be a design or a symbol, or a combination of any of those that distinguishes one company from its competitors. And the governmental body that grants trademark protection is called the USPTO, also called the United States Patent and Trademark Office. As the owner of a trademark, you have exclusive rights to that name or mark or logo or design or symbol when the US Patent and Trademark Office gives you a registration certificate. What does that mean? It means no one else can use it either at the state level or at the federal level if you've actually received a trademark registration certificate from the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Now, as the owner of a trademark, you have exclusive rights to that mark. Okay, so if somebody plans on using it, you can actually write them a letter letting them know to cease and desist use of that name. And if they don't listen, you can bring a lawsuit against them. So although the trademark registration process is more involved than, registering a business name with the state, a trademark provides you with exclusive rights to your name in all 50 states, and trademarks have an unlimited lifespan, provided you comply with all the compliance and renewal requirements that are required by the USPTO to maintain your trademark registration with the USPTO's office. Now the question becomes, what can be trademarked? So trademark registration can be granted on distinctive names, logos, and slogans. You might want to seek a trademark protection for a product name, a company logo, or a tagline. For example, let's take the word Nike. Nike is a brand. The Nike Swish design and Just Do It are all trademarks owned by Nike to distinguish their products from other athletic companies. But now let's keep in mind that trademark protection only applies to a particular category of goods and services, and there is 45 lists of goods and services that the patent trademark office offers you to choose from. So there's a list of 45 of them, and you got to pick which class your goods and services fall under. So for example, Nike Inc. may own the mark on a variety of shoes, clothing, apparel, sporting goods, and that would fall under, at the minimum, 2 classes under the list of 45 classes that the USPTO offers. But there's also a Nike corporation in Sweden that's involved in heavy machinery, like hydraulic lifting of jacks. So in that case, believe it or not, the USPTO has granted Nike Corporation in Sweden also trademark protection using the word Nike, because it's the registration is under a different class of goods and services from the Nike sports brand. So this is what I was talking about, is that trademark protection is there to protect your name, protect your brand, protect your logo from anybody else using it in the same goods categories lines that you're trying to protect your name. But if you're offering, if you're using that name as a restaurant name and somebody else comes and wants to use it as a, machinery service, or like as a gasoline shop, the trademark USPTO office may actually grant both of you protection, but limited, whereby you're each prevented from going after and using, the name in the other respective line of goods and services, or under the category as provided by the USPTO. So it's important to, if you're planning on trademarking that name, to familiarize yourself with the list of goods and services that are provided in the different 45 classes by the USPTO. Now, what are the benefits of registering trademarks? Several different benefits. One is it gives constructive notice nationwide of the trademark owner's claim. There's evidence of ownership of the mark, and when you have a registered trademark, that's actually an asset for your business. If somebody infringes on your trademark, you are allowed to seek treble damages in cases where your name is being infringed upon. Once you actually get a successful registered trademark that's granted to you by the USPTO, you get to use the R in the circle next to your name. And as you can see, I've listed many other benefits of using and registering your trademark. So the steps to register a trademark are pretty straightforward. And again, you can come to a reputable filing company such as our company, who can take you through each of the steps and actually file the trademark application on your behalf. Typically, there's a fee involved with that, and then there's a filing fee that you have to pay to the USPTO, which depends on the number of classes that you're trying to receive trademark protection under. It's typically $400 per class. But The actual process is really simple. You file an application, you provide them with evidence of how you're using that name in commerce. If you want to get federal trademark protection, you have to be using the name in more than one state, which is called interstate commerce versus just one state. If you're using that name simply in one state, then you want to file what is called an intent to use application with a promise to file an in-use application once you've started using that name in more than one state. And after you file, you are typically issued a registration number. Typically, it takes anywhere from 9 to 12 months, depending on the complexity of your application, to receive a successful trademark registration from the USPTO. And then you have to maintain the trademark and make sure that you renew your trademark registration every 10 years. So things to know about filing a trademark, again, as I've mentioned to you, trademark registration process is pretty long, anywhere from 9 to 12 months. And there are about 45 classes that, you get to choose from. And once you submit that application for filing to the USPTO, you're assigned an examiner by the USPTO that's going to work with you in assisting you to make sure you get a filing, an acceptable, approved filing for your particular trademark. Now, as I mentioned to you a little bit ago, let's say that you have this name that you want to trademark, but you're not using it in more than one state, but you still want trademark protection on it. The USPTO offers what is called an intent to use trademark application. And this is a way to file a trademark application where you actually put the mark in commerce, and you're getting first, kind of dibs at that name. And what this allows is you to reserve a trademark before you're ready to launch your product or service, or perhaps you're starting to launch it in one state, but you haven't got to the point of using it in more than one state. So in this case, you would file what is called an intent to use application, and then the USPTO will give you 6 months from the time to file your intent to use to put the mark in use and file your statement of use. And in some cases, if you need more time, then you can file an extension request. The USPTO can give up to 5-6 month extensions if you can show good cause for the extension. So as long as you can show there's a reason you need the extensions, you can have up to 3 years from the time you first file your intent to use application. And again, an intent to use is typically used by somebody who wants to protect that name, but hasn't really started using it in interstate commerce, meaning either in their own state yet or in their state and more than one state. So the general rule is that in order for you to get federal trademark protection in all 50 states, you have to use that mark in more than one state. And an intent to use is where exactly, you're using it in your state, but you haven't used it in multiple states, or you're not even using it at all, but you're planning on using it. So the question that I'm often asked is, well, Nellie, I don't have a lot of money to, engage in protecting my mark and filing this trademark application. It's costly. What if I just, start using that name in commerce and, acquiring common law rights to that name? And common law rights are basically, you gaining rights to that name by using it, in commerce, but, you're not taking the steps to actually legally protect that name, by filing a registration with the USPTO. And here's the risks of, trying to defend your trademark based on common law rights. Trademarks don't have to be registered with the USPTO. If your company creates a logo or name that you want to use exclusively, you can attach the TM symbol, which gives you common law rights, also called an unregistered trademark. And you can do a common law trademark while you wait for your application to be approved. So, however, we don't really want you to rely on common law trademark protection, because when it comes to defending a lawsuit, it's much harder to prove your case. But common law trademarks basically depend on who uses the trademark first. You can only enforce a common law trademark in the geographic area where the trademark is being used. So if you want to expand your business products or services to another geographic location and another business has already claimed common law rights in that market, then you're in trouble. So common law trademark rights are hard to enforce because there's no public record of your mark. So it's really, really important at the end of the day to educate yourself on trademark protection. And at the end of the day, if the name means a lot to you and your business is going to be, getting bigger and expanding, you want to consider, making those necessary investments in actually registering a trademark for that business name. Now, I want to talk to you guys about compliance requirements when it comes to keeping your business in compliance. This really, really relates more so to corporations and LLCs when it comes to, having a corporation or an LLC and then making sure that you keep that corporation or LLC in compliance throughout the lifetime of that business. So no matter where you operate your business, you need to maintain compliance for your corporation or LLC. And I've listed all the different ways that one needs to make sure their corporation or LLC is in compliance. And also, again, this is an area that we can assist you with when it comes to compliance. Right now, because, we're literally 2 months, almost 2 months to year end, it's really a great time for you to go back and look at your corporation or LLC, and also, possibly hiring a business filing service such as our company to do a compliance check for you and to make sure your corporation or LLC is in compliance and ready to roll for 2022. We have a ton of helpful resources on our website. For those of you who haven't been to the website, it's www.corpnet.com, and feel free to check us out. Again, we have lots of free tools at your fingertips that can not only help you choose that business name, protect that business name, register that business name, and also help you in picking a business structure and keeping that business structure in compliance after it's filed. For those of you who are business professionals representing other clients and would like to offer our services to your clients, or maybe use our services as an additional stream of revenue for your business, and maybe increase your revenue stream by adding another line of services to your existing suite of services. We also offer a CorpNet partner program where you can partner with us and offer business formation and compliance, payroll, and sales tax registration services to your clients in all 50 states. You can resell those services as your own service by becoming a white label reseller of our products and services, or you can simply choose to become a referral partner and refer your clients to us and get 20% referral fee for each sale that you refer to us. Either way, these are all the plethora of services that we offer in all 50 states, whether you choose to partner with us or not, or simply want to use our services for yourself. We offer our services in all 50 states. Our office hours are typically 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time daily, and feel free to reach out to us at www.corpnet.com. If you have questions, email us to info@corpnet.com, or simply pick up the phone and dial 1-888-449-2638. It has been such a pleasure presenting to all of you. And once again, I thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Nellie. And I want to heartily say, appreciate all the insights you shared. This recording will be at poststatus.com. And by the way, I'm not just friends with Nellie and her team, but I'm also a customer. I wanted to say client, but customer client of CourtNet. So I heartily endorse what they do. I got this awesome binder in the mail, and I should have had it right here. But anyway, thank you so much, Nellie and CourtNet, for all you do and to help our post status members think about business names, DBAs, and trademarks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have an amazing day, everybody. Stay safe out there. And we'd love to service you with any of your business filing needs.
You bet. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Nellie.